Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel for the Alliance Wars Showcase walkthrough, House of Mirrors edition. If you haven't been to one of these walkthroughs before, I kind of treat it like one big Alliance War video, so you see the nodes on the screen. I'll talk through all the fights, and if you have been to one of my Alliance War videos, this will look very familiar to you. So we're going to start off today with the left side path. There are a couple of shared fights at the beginning, and the first one is the Spider-Man Supreme that we're using Titania for. As with most nodes that Spider-Man Supreme is on, a buff immune champ is really a hard counter to everything he does. And in this node in particular, as long as you remember to intercept him, to remove protection, and get yourself that big Fury from Ebb and Flow, the fight is very, very straightforward. Do remember that with Mighty Charge, you will have to reparry if he does a medium attack, and he will be clearing debuffs on a dash, so you don't want to use somebody who is like entirely dependent on debuffs for damage. Now, any other miss counter will also work here, or you could just kind of slow play it with a different science champion. Spider-Punk will work well here. Luke Cage will also do very well, but again, you can't use your medium attacks unless you are intentionally trying to trigger miss, so you will have to play it much more intentionally, whereas with Titania, it's pretty much just you know, go and punch stuff, right? So we're about to throw our special 3 here, and this is pretty much the end of the fight. I think protection is already down, and he's not even going to last through 1 heavy here. So very, very easy fight for Titania if you have her. Alright, next up we have the other shared fight here. It is a leader on Node 13 with long distance relationship and insult to injury. Now recall that leader is a Gamma champion, which is why we're using Chee'ilth here. Chee'ilth gets a bunch of bonuses against Gamma infused champions. Now at the start of the fight here, our goal is to get the attack tactic up as quickly as possible, so you can see me sticking to shortened combos here, and that's just to minimize the chances that we're going to get auto blocked or evaded. Once we have that green scythe passive up there, you can see he cannot evade, he cannot auto block, and then our goal is to keep at least 1 stack of that up for the rest of the fight. Now, as far as the fight itself, you want to avoid using too many light attacks, because your first light attack will place a debuff on you, and your third will as well. And these debuffs cannot be cleansed by Chee'ilth, even against a Gamma opponent. And you can see when you have 3 or more on you, he's going to be steadily building up those Fury passives, and the fight becomes much more dangerous. But the good news is that his special one is reasonably easy to dex completely, as you can see, and you can punish it without problem as well. And Chee'ilth's bleeds against a Gamma opponent are just so strong, and we're going to end up finishing this fight with a full yellow bar. And if you haven't ranked up your Chee'ilth, folks, you are really, really missing out. Alright, next up we have what I think is the most difficult fight on the left side, and that is this Shocker here on Node 29 with EMP mod and Prey on the Weak. So at a bare minimum here, you really want somebody who is shock immune or shock resistant, and on top of that, Shocker is a tactic defender, so you really need a tactic attacker as well. Maestro, of course, is shock immune, so he makes a really good option for this fight. Now, there are a bunch of unavoidable buffs in this fight from personal space, and you do need to be aware that you will be giving Shocker a whole bunch of extra power from that node, so a lot of special baiting, a lot of special punishing. Make sure you know the timing on that special one punish, because his recovery time is really, really quick. Now, one good thing about having the Clarity passive in this fight is that Shocker cannot auto-block your specials, even at max stacks of his charges there. So as you just saw, I didn't have to worry about intercepting his dash attack in order to remove those charges. I could just go ahead and throw my special, which is really, really nice. It's, you know, one of the many very, very annoying things about fighting Shocker. Maestro, really, really good for this fight in general. You can safely bait the special 2 if you want, if you don't want to worry about, you know, punishing his special 1. Just be careful with the power gain again. Don't push him to the special 3, or you're probably going to be dead almost instantly. Alright, continuing on, we have an Onslaught here on Node 6, and it is weird to think of an Onslaught as like a gimme fight, but there's really nothing going on with the nodes here specific to Onslaught's kit. So as long as you know how to fight Onslaught, you can really use almost anybody against him in this fight, and you'll have some success. Now, I did have Void on the team for CHAVEZ later, and I was reasonably sure that I could finish this fight at or close to a yellow bar, so I decided to just use Void here and kind of, you know, save my other champion's health for later. So with Void here, there's nothing too special. You don't have to play this fight any specific way. I kept a careful eye on his crush charge, so anytime I was hitting a combo meter of 10, I was very much aware that his next hit would trigger the crush on me, and that I could remove it with a special knockdown. So that has bitten me in the past fighting Onslaught, so that was one thing that I really wanted to pay attention to, specifically in this fight. I'm also straight trash at the SP2 decks with reverse controls, so this is a little bit of a longer fight just because I'm also not very comfortable with the special 1 punish. I'm comfortable with the decks, but I do need to get my openings by baiting out heavy afterwards. So the tempo of the fight is a lot slower than yours might be if you know either how to punish the special 1 consistently, or if you're comfortable pushing into the special 2 and dealing with those reverse controls. Other than that, a very straightforward fight. Spiked armor and stuff, it doesn't really make too much of a difference here, and we finished the fight at 97%. Really happy with that one. Alright, next up we have a MOJO on the Node 37 Mini, and in hindsight I probably should have used Void for this fight because the buff immunity that Titania has triggers the resistance is futile node, and every time we would get a placebo buff or we would dex and get a precision, we're triggering a passive power gain on MOJO, and the power gain in this fight with a buff immune champ, as you'll see, it kind of gets out of control pretty quickly here. Now I am relying on Titania's debuffs and the Despair Mastery to counteract all of MOJO's healing here, and I end up pushing him specifically to the Special 3 while my Indestructible is active, just because I can see the power gain getting out of control, and taking an opportunity to do that I felt was a safe risk. We did trigger some degen, but he doesn't have the Fury buff active, so the degen, as you can see, didn't really do that much damage. Now, with the benefit of hindsight again, I think that I would be using Void here for this fight if I had to do this path over again, just because Void can put a complete lockdown on their power gain, and he can also reverse the healing from personal space, and at that point, the fight really just becomes a glorified duel against MOJO. Now, Titania is working here, as you can see, but if you don't keep a total lock on the power gain, and you don't have a way to mitigate or prevent the damage from his Special 3, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. So right there, I had my Special 3 available. I pushed him red. This is not going to push him all the way back to the wall, which is unfortunate. Fortunately, he dexes my combo and doesn't throw his Special 3, and we're able to finish him off there. Alright, next up we have a Wolverine on Node 40, and this is probably the easiest fight in the path. I don't recall seeing a Wolverine on defense a single time in 2 seasons, and certainly not on a mini-boss node here. So Wolverine is a tactic defender, so you do need to worry about getting clarity up to avoid the evade and the auto block. But as far as the nodes here, just don't use anybody with energy damage, and if you use somebody with a lot of buffs, just be aware that your power is going to be drained quite a bit, and your combat power rate is going to be very low, so you won't really have access to any of your specials. Now with Chee'ilth here, Wolverine has no bleed resistance or anything, and we can successfully combat his regen with Despair with enough bleeds. So, it's really just a straightforward fight with her. She has no natural buffs in her kit, so the only buff that she will possibly be gaining is the one from Dexterity. His specials are super easy to dex without even triggering Dexterity, so you can see we have basically full access to our specials at all times, and even if not, we can always parry and build up to a special that way. Yeah, just a very straightforward and easy fight, and again, as long as you keep the clarity charge up, you will have a very, very simple time with this fight as well. I think one more combo here is good enough with the bleeds to get him down. Alright, next up is an America Chavez on the Node 46 Mini. This is on Boss Island. And going in here with Void, although if I had to do this fight again, which I did on the second path, I would not use Void for this because the power gain node doubles her power gain from passive sources, which means Void cannot really, he's not really effective at shutting it off unless he has Fear the Void and 2 Petrifies up. And it takes, a bit into the fight to get to that point. Now, a couple mistakes here that I'm making at the start is I'm dexing her Special 1, and I failed to remember that these opponents in this content have Mystic Dispersion, so you really need to avoid triggering Dexterity against her. So you want to, if at all possible, block the entirety of the Special 1. Now, right here, she is about to trigger one of her random Chavez heavies right there. Now she's activated the negative zone, and her special 2 is going to be unblockable. And I'm cornered here, so I end up taking a full unblockable special 2 right to the face here, and it does quite a bit of damage, as you can see, even with Void's like massive health pool. So yeah, you know, if you can get through this fight without her throwing a single heavy, you can safely push her to the special 2 and just block it. But yeah, managing the power gain in this fight with Void was very difficult. A couple of better options, I think, for this fight. Spider Punk is really good for this fight. Spider Ham is probably really good. I saw MSD use Photon. I considered that. Luke Cage, really, really good for that fight as well if you have him. All right, last but not least, on the left side, we have an arcade boss that we're going to be using Vox for. As you can see, I swapped him in. Vox is poison immune, so we don't really have to worry about that gas cloud that Arcade uses. We're just going to be baiting out heavies and interrupting after the first hit, using shortened medium, light, medium combos in order to build up as many buffs as possible. And with Vox, he has access to so many buffs that getting and keeping the Clarity passive up is extremely easy with him. Once we're close to 2 bars of power, fire off the special 1. That's going to apply a bunch of degens. And then you can see we are specifically pushing Arcade to the special 2. It is just much easier to deal with. You dodge the fire, and then you dex on the third saw blade there. Now right here, I make a mistake by allowing him to heavy me in the corner when I'm on that little trap there. So yeah, stay out of the corner, especially if you're going to be baiting a heavy. And that caused me to lose my degens too, so we're kind of building up from scratch now. Special intercepting, or rather striker intercepting here, and firing off another special 1 to consume the degens, give us some of those intensifies, and now from here on, our damage is going to be increasing steadily for the rest of the fight here. So really, really straightforward fight. The degens are direct damage, so you don't really have to worry about all of the energy and physical resistance buffs that he's getting. If you have a Venom, Venom is also really good for this fight. Venom just so powerful for this tactic in particular, and he can nullify the buffs from the node, so you'll be able to get a little bit of healing there as well. Any Clarity champ will really work well here. You know, the biggest annoyance in Arcade's kit is auto block, and again, the attack tactic has that auto block counter built in. So just use, you know, whoever you have available as long as they are a tactic attacker, and you'll be fine. Yeah, so the fight is pretty much just more of this. You know, as we've gained more Intensify buffs, we're going to be placing more degens with our special 1, and larger chunks of his health are going to be removed every time we fire off one of these special 1s here. So there we go, fire off that one. That gives us nearly 40 degens, and you can see them just climbing up in potency. One of the most satisfying things about playing Vox is just seeing the potency of those degens climb. And then we're going to fire off one more special 1, and that is the left side path, all solos, no items used. Alright, for the right side path, I'm going to speed up the fights that I did, you know, with the same attacker here. So we'll just kind of speed right through this second Spider-Man Supreme fight, again with Titania. Same strategy as the first section here. Just, you know, remember to intercept, and you don't have to worry about his miss because you are immune to buffs. You can safely use your medium attacks here. Build up to your special 3, fire it off when protection is down, and that will probably be enough to kill him because he has a very, very tiny spider-like health pool and can't absorb too much damage before he goes down here. There we go. Special 3 is off and running, and one nice 23k crit to end the fight. All right, moving on, we have Leader here again on Node 13. We'll be doing this fight again with Chee'ilth, and again, the same strategy I employed as the first time around. Just, you know, get your Clarity passive up with shortened combos. Make sure that you can nail that SP1 dex. Practice that in practice mode or in duels if you can. That's probably the trickiest part of this fight, is just making sure to nail that SP1 dex. Don't push him to the special 2 if you can avoid it. Yeah, again, shortened combos, avoid too many light attacks. And yeah, I think there is a bug with this node, actually. There was a heal block at the start of the fight, and Chee'ilth is not supposed to be able to cleanse that heal block, but she did in both of these fights. So I would probably, if you're going to use Chee'ilth for this fight, I would probably get this done before that bug is potentially fixed. And I think we end up finishing this fight with a yellow bar as well. Alright, moving on to the right side proper. First up, we have this Omega Sentinel here on node 12. This is path 3A, if you're familiar with the war map. And the big thing you want here is a champion with power burn immunity, and they have to be in the attack tactic. So Deathless King Groot is really good here, Vox is good here, Gladiator is good here. You can also use Adam, who's not straight immune to power burn, but he gets like an energize, so you will be taking some damage here. Or you can use somebody like Knull, who has the ability to remove her armors very easily, because it's difficult to play this fight without her ever gaining any armor. Now, when you play Omega Sentinel, unless you're Incinerate immune, you do not want to push her to the Special 2, because she will inflict those Incinerates through your block, and they hurt really bad, because she has one of the highest base attack ratings in the game. And then beyond that, you want to not throw your Special 2 into her block like I just did there. That was a mistake on my part. The other thing you want to remember is that Omega Sentinel will apply an Incinerate to you when she would auto-block. So even if you fail her auto-block with the tactic, or with like an Undermine buff from Vox, she will still incinerate you. So it is very important that you alternate your combo hits and avoid her ever getting that 5th armor up and potentially triggering that auto block. So that is why this fight is taking so long, because I'm being very careful here not to give her too many armor ups. And then I'm trying to wait out the special lock here from the spaced armor node and firing off my second attempt at a big special 2 with the big Furies up. So we've got the Furies up, we've got 2 bars of power, the special lock is about to end. We successfully bait the special 1 out of her, and now we're going to sidestep into a special 2 here, and this does a decent amount of damage. With Deathless King Groot, again, it's really easy to keep the Clarity passive up. He gets access to a bunch of buffs, so it kind of counteracts these slow combo play. Alright, next up we have a Cap Sam on node 30. This is up in section 3B, and we're going to be using Knull here. I actually just duped my Knull last night from a 7-star crystal and took him up to rank 2 specifically for this fight and the next fight. When we were in season during House of Mirrors, Knull was, I think, by far our most reliable and assigned attacker, and you're going to see exactly why here. So on Knull, his sword attacks, which means his mediums and his heavies, they cannot be evaded. They have passive true accuracy. So he kind of counters the tactic without even having access to that clarity passive, which is really nice. So in this fight, you really want to avoid having any armor ups on Captain America. Otherwise, you're going to get those shocks, and you're going to be glancing here. So once we have Corruption active, all of his armor ups are going to be turned into armor breaks, and we can keep Corruption paused by using our light attacks. And beyond that, his combat power rate, you can see, is way lower during Corruption. So we have plenty of time here to build up to a special 2, and that is going to absolutely decimate him. Just Knull's damage in this tactic, and in general, it's just phenomenal, and just a great rank up if you have him available. Alright, next up we have a Quicksilver here on the Scared Stiff Mini. This fight more or less comes down to, do you know how to evade Quicksilver's special 2? And if you can consistently do that, this fight is not going to be terribly difficult for you. This was not a fight that I ever took in season. We almost always sent a Knull or a Falcon to this fight, so I did have to practice the special 2 evade on my own before I ended up doing this path. But again, the strategy, very similar to what we did with Captain America here. Just get Corruption up, rely on the reduced combat power rate, and get up to a big special 2 here. I think I just say, screw it, let's push him to the special 2. You can see those instant bleeds are doing so much damage here. And we get one nice SP2 dex there, and we can go back in. And then Corruption has worn off here, so we're trying to build up another special 1. I think we fire it off here because he has reduced CPR above 2 bars of power, and now we are trying to just be aggressive enough where we're not going to be triggering the root. Unfortunately, we do trigger it there, and he triggers Bubble Shield, and we take a full combo there. But we are still in good shape. We have a lot of debuffs on us to manage the healing from willpower. And Corruption is active again, so we are going to be launching another big special 2 here. 19 armor breaks, really, really good. And now I can sense that the fight is close to being over. So we're going to do a full combo here and then try and get one more parry, and one more combo does the trick with the striker. And yeah, very tricky fight, but again, if you are comfortable with that special 2 dex, you'll be good to go. All right, next up we have a Jessica Jones on the Hazard Shift Mini. We're going to be using Chee'ilth here. Chee'ilth probably pound for pound the best Jess counter in the game on a variety of nodes, I think. Now in season we would probably send the Hulk synergy with Chee'ilth here just to give her extra cleanse charges at the start of the fight, but it's not required, especially if you have a highly ranked Chee'ilth like I do here. Now, a couple things to worry about in this fight. Jess's recovery time on her heavy is really quick, so heavy countering her, not very reliable. So you do kind of have to just take the chance at the start of the fight and bait out heavies and do like 1 or 2 hits only until you can build up that clarity passive. And then once you get clarity up, it's very easy to keep it up. You want to spam your special 1 with Chee'ilth in here so you can keep access to that grit passive and avoid her going unstoppable. This fight actually isn't a solo, as you'll see. We get Jess down to like 3%, I think. And I go for a light intercept to finish the fight, and she pulls one of those nonsense like hesitation moves where she waits until like the frame after my light attack, and then I think she full combos me and KOs me. So again, not a solo. I think I went back in with Knull and then missed a parry, and then I went back in with Deathless King Groot and finished her off here. So right there, I tried to go for an intercept and she counters me, and yeah. So we'll just skip over the cleanup on that because it's like 1 hit. All right, we are back at this America Chavez here. We're going to go in here with Titania this time rather than use Void. And the strategy is pretty much the same here. Her power gain is still going to be problematic, but if we can avoid her throwing a heavy attack for as long as possible, and she's, you know, if we can get her to cooperate with those special 1s, she won't have any of that passive power gain from the node to contend with. But of course, you know, once she does throw a heavy and she activates the negative zone like she does right there out of absolutely nowhere, now we have a problem because the power gain is going to be triggering off of every special 1, and every time she crosses a bar of power, her power rate, her combat power rate is going to be increasing. So it's just a super dangerous fight. So this is another example of where I really want to use Titania's Indestructible to my advantage, as you'll see. We are cornered. She's got the negative zone. I don't really want to take a special 2 to the face here. So we combo, force block, and then wait for our Haymaker to come back, do a heavy to trigger the Indestructible, and then she thankfully cooperates, tosses her special 3 while we're indestructible. 1 more heavy for good measure, of course. We can full combo, and now we're trying to push her back over the middle of the arena so that when I use my special 3, it is guaranteed to push her to her end of the screen. When we trigger the special 3, it will re-trigger our Haymaker, so if she does toss the special 3 again here, we still won't take any damage. We're going to heavy interrupt our 3rd heavy with a striker, and then 1 more combo finishes her off. So a little bit of a safer fight than Void, but still very dangerous. And then last but not least, we have 1 more run at the arcade boss. We'll be using Vox again here, so I will speed this up. I did consider going in here with Deathless King Groot, but at this point, I truthfully just wanted this content to be over, and I knew that Vox was probably the overall safer option, just from that poison immunity, I think, in case I missed a heavy counter. This attempt, I think, goes way better than the first one that I had, and I did consider not speeding this one up, but you can kind of still see what's going on regardless. Staying out of the corner, learned my lesson from the first attempt there, and I'm also being much more careful with my special attack, so I don't think I lose my degens at any point here. I keep a much tighter lid on them in this matchup. So already on our 2nd cycle here, we've got 33 degens going, just absolutely climbing up in potency. We consume them again, bait out the special 2, bunch of unavoidable block damage there. That's fine, not really worried about that. Full combo into the special 1 again, and now we have 46 degens, and I think these are enough actually to finish him off here. I think I try and go in to consume them, but the last couple ticks finish him off. And folks, that's going to do it for the Alliance War Showcase walkthrough House of Mirrors edition. I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, please let me know in the comments below. Be sure to share this with your friends, with your Alliance mates, anybody who might need help with this content. Leave me a like if you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next time.